Hey guys, today we're going back to basics. I'm going to show you how to frost a cake to make it perfectly smooth to cover in fondant, as well as a cake board. I'm going to show you how to dowel your cakes and stack them to make a perfect wedding cake. I'm Elisa Strauss and we're mixing it up in the kitchen today. People always ask me, how do I get my cakes to look so smooth once I cover them with the delicious fondant? And the simple answer is just that it's the layer of buttercream under, or actually 2 layers. So what I'm going to do is use my delicious Swiss meringue buttercream, put a crumb coat, or sometimes we refer to it as a dirty coat because it's cake and buttercream mixed together. Stick it in the fridge or freezer for just 10-15 minutes, put a final coat of buttercream, and then we're ready to cover it with fondant. That will make it perfectly smooth. So I'm ready to cover my cake base. I'm going to grab some fondant, and today I'm using Fonderific fondant. I was first introduced to it because I make so many sculpted cakes, and I made a beautiful alligator handbag, and I couldn't imagine doing it without Fonderific. For today, I have my cake base prepared. I put a thin coat of piping gel on it so that the fondant will stick to it, and I'm ready to roll it. So you see how beautifully it rolls out, nice and smooth. And one of the best things about it, aside from not having to roll it on anything, is that it's self-healing. I know that's a weird term to use when you're talking about edible frosting, but you know, if you have any little tears or divots, it just goes back together. And that's one of the things that really sets Fonderific apart from other fondants. So I think my cake base is about 12 inches, so I want to roll it just past 12 inches because I have a lip on my base. And I always want to roll the fondant to about 1/8 of an inch thick. So I have my fondant rolled out to the correct size, and so I'm just going to roll it up and put it on my base. One of the amazing things about the Fonderific product is that, let's say someone came to the door or the phone rang, it will just stay and it won't dry out like other fondants. It's just so moist and pliable. So that's just another great thing about it. So first I like to use my hand just to get it down on all the edges. And then I'll go back to my fondant smoothers to make it super smooth. I like to use one on top and one along the edge to make it nice and smooth, and it gives my wedding cake that I'm making today, or any cake, a nice uniform look when I cover the edge of the cake board as well. So I have a 9-inch cake here with about 4-inch sides. So I rolled it just to about 17 inches, and I'm going to roll it up and then cover my cake. So I have my cake ready and centered on both sides, and I pick up my fondant. I make sure I'm at the bottom of one side and just roll it over to the other side. Then I always like to just smooth the fondant on top with my hands. So just pull the fondant out while you're working. Again, if you get to an area where it's bunching up, don't panic, just pull it out. Use the side of your hand, that's my favorite tool for fondant, and just get it nice and smooth. And sometimes it helps just to cut off the excess. And as I mentioned, this fondant is mocha. It's mocha colored and mocha flavored. I smell the coffee, the richness coming through. But most of the other colors that Fonderific has, and it's like a whole rainbow. I mean, they even have 2-color pinks, 2-color blues, and those have a delicious sweet buttercream smell. So it's really delicious, and when you're working with it, it's fun too. And everyone likes to eat it, which is great. So now that I have it on my cake, I go back in with my fondant smoothers and I get around the edge, and the same thing just like before. I'm going to make a line towards the bottom of the cake. I'm going to push in my fondant, create a seam, and then I know exactly where to cut. So So I'll come right in here and get some fondant away. And you can see it creates a nice, beautiful edge right there. And I can always cut off a little more and just smooth it out over. I'm ready to put the bottom tier right onto my cake base. So I have a 9-inch cake here and I have a 12-inch round cake board. So I'll just use my ruler and mark about 1.5 inches in on either side so that I know that my cake's fairly centered. Then I'm just going to take some non-toxic white glue. Don't worry, no one's going to eat the base of the board or the cake. You could use royal icing, but it tends to crack, and this is really the foundation of your cake. So go right over my base. And then I'll use my palette knife so that I don't leave any finger marks. So I want to show you how to dowel a tiered cake. I covered 2 smaller tiers just like I did this cake a little earlier. And I grabbed a wooden skewer that I'm going to put right into the center of my cake. And this is just an edible food marker. You could just use a pencil or a pen. I'm just gonna mark right at the top. And then I use that, the little mark, as the measurement for the size dowels. Now this is a fairly small cake, so it'll probably be fine with just 3 dowels. And here is what you can use to dowel. I have a wooden dowel or these smaller plastic dowels, or you could use these really big dowels that are also plastic. But for this size cake, it's on the smaller side. I'm just going to use this smaller plastic one, but this you can just get at a hardware store, cake decorating stores. It's fairly easy to find. And it's super important that you dowel your cakes because think of a building. If it doesn't have structure, then not a good thing. So I'm just going to cut 3 of them. Okay, so I have my 3 dowels ready to go in. And so I'll just do it like a triangle, because if I'm traveling far with my cake and I have a really tall tiered cake, like a wedding cake, then I'll send a dowel all the way through all of the tiers. So this is just a good little measure for the bottom tier. Great, so now once all of my dowels are ready, I'll use some royal icing. Obviously not a good place to use the other white glue. And then I'll just lay it right on top. And so I'll go ahead and dowel this tier, get the next one on, and I'll meet you right back here. There you have it, a 3-tiered cake ready to be decorated. It's your blank canvas. In my next video, I'm going to show you tips and tricks on how to decorate it easily and quickly. So make sure you subscribe and leave some comments down below about what you want to learn. I'm Elisa Strauss, and we're mixing it up in the kitchen today.